It's Mark Husson's Astrology Hour. Time for you to expect something wonderful.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. It's Mark Husson. It's Mark Husson's Astrology Hour coming to you live at 8 a.m. Pacific on the West Coast, 11 a.m. on the East Coast. It is October 21st, 2024. I hope you're doing well. I hope this finds you alive and happy and coming into autumn if you're on the northern hemisphere and going into spring down under. How you doing? Come and join me. If you haven't been into the chat room yet, I haven't either. Just come on over to 12radio.com and click the link that says chat on the left-hand side, and it will bring you over. You can see everybody. It's about 10 people. No. Jay has put up the banner. No, it's really, we have, I got a surprise for you. Hold on just a second. Okay, so Jay's put up the banner. You'll see the banner when you come over there. If you're new to the room, it'll ask you to ask permission, and we'll keep an eye out for you, and we'll definitely let you in as that happens. Okay, and then, when you click the comments in the room, you want to make sure to click most relevant when you get in the room. At the top, you'll see it says most relevant, and then you'll see it open up to everybody that's there, which is kind of fun. And when I get there, you see Judith. Judith, good morning. It's snowing where you are. That's so good. Hi, Lynn. It was a kind of light sleet today. Lynn's in the house. How you doing? Crisp, sunny Monday morning. Looks like a beautiful day, and of course, it's a stellar day as we talk about God's favorite sign. Look at you. She's taking the mantle away from me from God's favorite sign. All right. I can't argue too much about that, right? Jennifer Locksme Dove's in the house. Good morning. How you doing? She's got her cup of coffee going. Jennifer's a psychic astrologer over at 12listen.com. Amazing woman. Hi, Jennifer. We miss you on radio. Hope you'll come back someday. Peggy, welcome. Her and Yogi are listening. Hi, Yogi. Peggy has her show on Tuesday mornings. She's Oh My Angels, and boy, is that just an honest show. Peggy, kudos on your forthright honesty and integrity. Love it. Hi, Tara. Welcome. Oh, look at that scary cat. I love that Cheshire cat. We're getting into scary season. I'm noticing it with the horror movies coming out and sort of me being a little more picky about what I watch. We watched one the other day that was kind of fun. Oh my God. And I realized I need a happy ending. I don't know about y'all, but I need a happy ending. I don't like the horror movies that are horrible because they have terrible endings and the bad people win. I don't want bad people to win in my reality. If I'm going to go for entertainment and enough bad people win in the real world. I want my heroes to win. I want good people to win. I want to love characters in the movies that I watch. I realize it's just so important to love characters. We watched a really fascinating movie a few months ago, and I'm still looking for it, but All of Us Strangers. And it was like, oh my God, this is so sweet. Like these soft, gentle movies that sort of trickle in that have a message. I want to watch the parrot one with, it's called Tuesday with Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Is that her name? Julie Lewis. She's, it looks extraordinary. It looks a little heart-wrenching, so don't check that out. I know this isn't about movie moment, but I like to talk to you about what's going on in my reality. There's so many things. I want to talk to you about the earworms I got, the songworms, people that I'm hanging out with, what's going on astrologically, of course, as always. So come on in. Welcome to the room. I'm going to check the messages here as we go forward with you periodically, and we'll just get some things happening. Now, this today is a Gemini moon that's going to change signs very shortly into Scorpio. So I want you to pay attention to what the energy that shifts. It's going to change at about 3:50 p.m. on the Pacific coast. Okay, so keep an eye on that. Let's make sure that, and I got to keep my phone with me. Like, people letting me know. I got to let people let me know if for some reason I go off the air or I can't hear or whatever. Okay. So thank you for being here, everybody. And then keep me posted if there's some sound issues, because I got my new mixer and I want to make sure everything's looking good. And I have a feeling it's going to be okay. All right. So let me take a look here. I want to get to the page I want to talk to you about, which is my astrology chart. Now, if you haven't signed up for the newsletter, over at 12house.com is the easiest way. 12house, HOUSE.com. Get on the newsletter and let you know what's happening. They're not offensive letters, I don't think. I try to be a little funny with you, do some nice artwork. To bring you into what's happening over both at 12listen.com and over at 12 Radio and 12 Academy if there's events happening. So it's a way that I can send you charts and let you know what's going on with the show, etc. Now, this week is important because tomorrow Scorpio, we enter the world of Scorpio. So the sun is leaving Libra and it's going to enter Scorpio. It's very, very critical to be in touch with that, because it's kind of like time is moving, and this is really important. Triggers can happen, and I know I'm hearing you loud and clear about what triggers are going on for you, but I want you to try to be, if anything, really alerted to how they're affecting you and what changes are actually going on. Okay, so I'm opening my chart now. Now, I did post the chart on my Facebook page, so if you haven't seen that, please check it out. And then look for that zero, the sun with the circle with the dot in it at the 0 point. So I want you to see that that's the change tomorrow. Okay, and what's happening here on my end right now is that it's showing me that I'm not on the air. So that's why I'm I'm talking, but I'm sort of checking this chat room to see if you guys are saying anything or seeing anything. But I think we're okay. It's just, I can't really trust all the monitoring that's going on for me, but it looks like you can hear me pretty good. No one's complaining that there we go. Yeah, no, I'm seeing it. Okay. 1 second, you guys. I'm hitting refresh on the chat room before I dive in. Yeah, you're here. Okay, I got you all going on. Claudia's in the house. Quelly's in the house. Jay, thank you for being here. Okay. It also sounds like a drunken goldfish in the background. Okay. All right, y'all are making me nervous. All right. Jay's writing me now. He's letting me know. Okay, good. Thanks, Jay. I appreciate it. All right, you guys. So let's get down to business. I'm not going to worry about it. I think they're having some technical difficulties over at radio.co, which is who streams us. But I think Jay's saying we're okay, so we're going to leave it at that. I see that. Okay, perfect. All right, you guys. So let's talk about this. Tomorrow, the sun is going to enter the sign of Scorpios. Now, it's like a weather forecast, right? If I told you that tomorrow it was going to snow, then some of you are going to love it. You're going to have the right clothes for it. You're going to feel perfectly suited for that kind of weather, and you're going to dive right in. Maybe you'll dive inside and light your fireplace and get all cozy and warm like I love to do. But you also might have a complete aversion to the fact that you might be snowed in or stuck inside. And if you're a fire sign and an air sign, you guys, it's iffy how you guys are going to respond to being snowed in. Now, it's just an example, but Scorpio's coming, right? And so Scorpio will be here tomorrow. We're starting to feel the shift of the sun. This is 29 degrees of Libra today. So we're seeing the sun is going to say goodbye at 29, a critical point. Where's Pluto? Pluto is at 29, a critical point. There's a lot of critical points. So what we want is you to be prepared. And that preparation is about understanding how we're leaving Libra. The scales, an air sign, cardinal air, likes to keep things light, likes to see the objectivity and everything, doesn't need to go into the murk and mire of life. They can get out when the kitchen gets too hot, right? Scorpio doesn't want to do that necessarily. Scorpio doesn't necessarily want, if they hear a scary noise, like Libra hears a scary noise downstairs, they're going to kick the person next to them and say, there's a noise down there, check it out. Or they might go turn the lights on, right? Upstairs and flick the lights, whatever. Scorpio is not good enough for them. Scorpio is probably way more afraid, all right, of what's happening, but they won't, they're also would rather know than not know. So what you're going to see is the difference is the Scorpio is going to go toward the fear. And that's what most Scorpios we find do. They go toward the fear of whatever it is. That's why I've talked to you a million times about Scorpios burying the people that they love over and over and over in their heads so that when the day comes, they're prepared. Okay? Many Scorpios don't even feel the sadness at the time of a tragic event because they already have felt it, okay? And a lot of them feel very guilty about that. But the thing is, we have the sign here, the fixed water sign. We're leaving cardinal air. We're leaving air that sort of like has to go initiate and has to go tap and say, hey, and date and play and get to know you. And let's not get too deep, right? So Libras don't like to get too deep typically. Now you can have some modifications to a chart where the Libra has maybe a planet like Saturn next to their sun, or maybe they have a Scorpio moon or something that wants to pull them in a little deeper. But for the most part, Libra is a Venus-ruled sign. They don't need to, nor do they necessarily want to go live in the crap, okay? So, but Scorpio, different story. Here, now the reason I'm talking to you about it is because you are going to be in that weather forecast where Scorpio is going to be saying things are getting deep, things are getting scary. Now, we can see it ramping up in politics, of course, and I have deliberately avoided the topic of politics with you guys because I don't want to go there with you here. I don't want to bring that contaminant in here yet. We will look at things honestly and with an open heart and as much clarity as we possibly can, but I don't want to just keep dumping it here. But I will say that you'll see rhetoric getting a lot more hot and a lot more mean and a lot more like now we're in the dirt. Libra's no longer here. It's no longer people are upset with that, right? So we're going to talk a little more whatever. And that's Scorpio's ability to go beneath the surface of something. That's where they live. If you are a Scorpio, if you have a Scorpio moon, if you have planets in the 8th house, personal planets like the sun, Venus, moon, Mercury, Mars in the 8th house, if you're a Scorpio rising, any of these things, if you're connected to Pluto in any way, if your sun is next to the sign of Pluto, if your rising sign is next to the sun, a lot of you Leo risings, a lot of you Virgo risings have Pluto in that 1st house. So you have the understanding of getting intense. You know what it's like. So if you have that, you'll understand this. If you don't, this kind of coming in could make you uncomfortable. Not what I'm about to say, but the cycle that we're going into. So Scorpio children are born with this sense of there's something else here. Okay, I see you, I see mama, dada, whatever, but there's something else here. Now, often it starts with the belief that there's something else lurking inside of them. And thank you, Teresa. I appreciate that. So Scorpios start with a sense that there might be something that they're seeing the world so differently that it could be inside of them. Nobody else seems to be freaked out by all this stuff going on, right? And so this child grows up as an investigator. And the first thing that they're going to investigate is kind of a confirmation of what they're seeing. Do you see what I'm seeing? Okay, and it could look like the minute consciousness hits, it's sort of like, oh, did that mean something about me? Whatever window they're looking through. And so they start in becoming really good at asking you questions or figuring you out or posing situations where you show them that you have that same perspective in you or that you don't. And they become, at an early age, these insanely good investigators, okay? People who can read you. And trust me, you met a Scorpio, they could be chatty, light, easy. They don't all look dark and mean, but they could be all like easy, chatty, like look superficial. They are not missing anything, okay? And if you know that, it helps. Because you meet a Scorpio who's like, boy, that's the lightest, easiest Scorpio I've ever met. They don't even notice things. They're noticing. They are noticing. And we're going to get into it, okay? Now, that's happening tomorrow. The sun is bringing us all into this soup that's allowing us to see below the surface of everything. Now, how will that show up for you? Well, you might see it personally as something that you're starting to question, something that you got off the internet, or a news story, or suddenly you're noticing something about you, your body, but its awareness starts coming in. So we want to start with the idea that tomorrow, it doesn't just have to start tomorrow, it could start today. And maybe some of you are just living in awareness, but you start this new way of looking at the world. It's like you changed your scuba gear. Okay. And now you have this clear mask and you're kind of looking around. You might uncover some information about how you want to change your diet up a little bit. You might discover some information about how you want to change, how you learn something new about somebody that you've known for a while, or a new insight that you want to reach. And whatever it is, it's new. But it's also deep, and sometimes it can hit you like a little off guard. And that's the next 30 days. Now, any coincidence that one of the most scary holidays that we have happens under this amazing, scary sign? And one of the ones that we give the most gratitude happens under one of the most thankful signs, like Sagittarius? Or that one of the most work-oriented, practical signs happens under the deepest, most spiritual time. It's very interesting to see how this plays out. So we're in this cycle now. We're entering the zone of going below the surface of things. And the sun isn't the only one there. Mercury is there as well. So it's going to be really easy for you all to look deeper below the surface. And I'm asking you to take a look and see if you're directing that energy inward, if you're directing it outward. And what it will look like is the depth of which you're looking. Like if you're feeling secrets are being exposed, if you're feeling negative, if you're feeling like you're uncovering something, I want you to keep an eye on that, especially if it has to do with you. Now, this is how we learn the energy of the signs. This is the sun going into Scorpio. The moon does it once a month. And right now, the moon, it will be going into Cancer today. So we'll have a lot of watery energy in the air. Again, nothing except Pluto is in an earth sign. Uranus is in an earth sign. These guys don't count as feeling earthy. Okay? These are as far from earth as you can get. Now, I would like at some point, as we get again closer to the election, to maybe dissect a little bit about, I would rather, I'm deliberately not predicting, but I would rather look at the winner's chart against the United States chart, because I think that's really important. And we're going to do that. I want to stay objective with you, but because this particular election scares so many people, and on both sides of the aisle, I think it's really important that we keep, and you help me keep the focus of the show on what we do to maintain a sense of heart-centeredness in our reality, okay? So it's so easy to get sucked into what's happening out in the world that we sometimes forget that our projection, what we're seeing, what we're filtering through our own eyes, is what's making the reality real. And so I like to use up my time with you to keep it on, like, I want to say a scientific level, and I want to laugh at that. But if we are looking at it through the eyes of the planets, if we're looking at it through the metaphors that spin around us, we get a little sense of control and a little sense of awe and a little sense of the vigor to make it good. Okay. And that's what I want us to do together. Make it good. Now, I want you to also notice things, because it's a watery time period. I'd like you to notice things like what kind of songs are stuck in your head. Okay, so here's my earworm of the week. It's called Laughing At. It's by Regina Spektor, and it starts out, no one laughs at God in a hospital. No one laughs at God in a war. No one laughs at God when your plane uncontrollably shakes. No one, and it's like this brilliant, and she does this kind of amazing thing with her voice, because she's sort of talking and singing in the most sincere sort of tone. And I thought, okay, why is that song in my head? It's really stuck in there. And the point is, we're getting scared. And I think that things like that song is like, look, it's okay to seek your safety. And it's not a religious song at all. She's basically saying, it's the irony of, we don't notice any of this stuff, but when we're scared, ain't nobody making fun of God. Ain't nobody making fun of their connection spiritually, right? I mean, like when you're nervous, when I'm really scared, I'm like, God, please, I say prayers. I love the art of praying. And I am not religious. Okay. So but I feel deeply connected spiritually, but I don't mind, reaching out to whatever it is. It's like when things are scary, where do you go for support? And I think that song is sort of helping me remember as we enter into a darker season, as we go toward the winter solstice and we're losing light every day and the trees are falling, the leaves are falling, that there's a place, a comfortable place. And I think that's one of the things about the beauty of autumn is it's sort of like this kiss goodbye, this sweet kiss goodbye, right? Because goodbyes are hard. And as a Scorpio rising, so I have a story to tell you about rising signs. I talked to you about Woodruff, Frederick Woodruff, and I was convinced that we were born on the same day. So after a little bit of a communication exchange, he reaches out to me because of you guys and says, people are signing up for my Substack and they're telling me it's because of you. Who are you? And I said, I'm the guy that wrote you. I think we're born on the same day. Well, okay, long story short, we were born 6 hours apart. He's born on the 15th. I was born on the 16th. Same year, same everything. But the only reason I suspected it is because the coincidences of our life are so similar. I mean, from being an astrologer alone, I mean, he's gay, an astrologer. He's was influenced by Joni Mitchell. His first book was Linda Goodman's Love Signs. It goes on. And I was like, I wrote him, I said, I can't stop these coincidences. He says, he's 7 planets in water. That's me. So, when I wrote him back, I said, I think we're born on the same day. And he said, not quite the same day. It was 6 hours difference. He was born the day before. He doesn't give his birthday out, which I find a little funny for an astrologer. It seems slightly, I don't know, hypocritical. Like no one gets I don't know. I don't want to judge it too much. I get it. People don't want to give their ages out or whatever, but it was like pulling teeth is the bottom line. So I said, hey, I think we might be astrological twins. It might be, he goes, yeah. And I hear you have a radio show. I'll come on. And I go, good, let's get you on. And so I said, we could talk about being separated at birth. And all of a sudden the walls came up and he was like, I'm not into that. I don't want to do that. Blah, blah, blah. He just started knowing everything. And I was like, okay, I'm already not liking you. I'm already not I do like him. I do. But it's like, don't meet your heroes kind of thing. And so I was like, okay, all the rules, all the regulations, it's about like what makes you comfortable. And so I just said, look, you're right. I maybe move a little too fast. Let's just get to know each other and let it happen organically. And I left it. And he wrote back that he was sorry that he sort of dampened the spirit, but he wanted to come on the show. And I just couldn't. And because not only was I butthurt, I guess, I was still like, I'm not sure. There's a part of me that's like, I was excited from an astrological point of view of having the same, every single planet be the same, all our life be the same. It would be so fun for me to explore. Being an only child in my own head, it would be really fun to explore like that. What a gold mine of an opportunity to meet somebody born 6 hours away from you. Well, what it turns out is he's a Leo rising, and Leo rising, I'm Scorpio rising. And so therein lies an amazing opportunity to see the difference of what a rising sign does. And so I really want you to remember that when you're meeting people, when you're talking to people, the power of every single aspect of our chart. The rising sign is insanely able to define who we are and what we project ourselves to be. And when you're looking at candidates, what do you think you're seeing? Yeah, you ain't seeing their sun signs. You're seeing the rising sign. And as they get comfortable and get married into their job, they become their sun sign, and the truth comes out a little better. But astrology is such a wickedly cool way to get underneath quickly who it is you're talking to, even if you don't quite see it in the person, because I have yet to not see it. It's been that powerful. So that story ended with I'm better at being a fan and better at being quiet and better at looking from a distance. Now that's Scorpio at work here. Now I also have Saturn in the first in Scorpio. So it's sort of saying that I'm a little more serious about this in terms of like, okay, you can't embarrass me because if you do, I'm out. That's the Cancer part too. So this is the water at work. So it's like, and I think his little Cancer part did the same thing. Like I sort of didn't respond to him coming on the show after the initial rejection. So now we're both two little crabs pulling back into our, worlds. And I am extremely happy there, right? I don't need any more to work with. So I wanted to share that with you to make it clear that no matter what we think compatibility is, and no matter what we think about it, there are things that we do differently, and there's things we're going to learn differently. And what compatibility can do, or let me put it this way, what similarity in charts can do is help you understand the motive of the other person. Like, I get it. We're probably not going to talk, but I get it. It's not a big deal. It's like, okay, we'll both sort of pull into our shells and leave it at that. And he has a way to pull out of his shell a lot easier than I do because the Leo drives him to do that, right? And so, he can sort of ignore a little bit more because it's a 12th house sun for him, ignore a little bit more the wounds or the effects of he can be a public personality, in other words, a lot easier. And I love that. I respect it. I'm not offended. I'm just sort of like, oh yeah. And I'm grateful that I have an opportunity to say no, to pull back, to make these choices for myself. So we have a dear friend visiting, who is an Aries and who's an extraordinary woman. Seriously. She has done more things in her lifetime than I think some of us in several lifetimes. Aries. And so it's like, I get to be around that and I get to hear about, I get to see the motive of Aries. I get to see the drive of Aries because that's always been a tough one for me. There's a few signs because of my Cancer cardinal energy. Any other cardinal sign is always going to be a challenge and you learn the boundaries really quick. But when you hit that sweet spot where you understand the motive, like she runs marathons and she's in her 70s and she, I'm like, the part of me that's a Cancer and wants to sit home in the cold snow and going around the block was like such an accomplishment. And then she's putting on her shoes, which to me now everything's a virtue signal. Oh, you're putting on your running shoes. That's great. You're going to run. You're going to run. And it's like that. None of that is happening in real time, only happening inside. And it's a water thing. And I share it with you because I want you, if you do that, to know you're not alone. Okay. It's sort of like there's a constant reflection of water to compare who you are, what you're doing with the world. And, sometimes you land feeling better. Like I overcompensate by saying, like the other day, just out of the blue, I yelled into John and our friend Annie, and I said, how can anybody say that God is just and fair? And they're like, what? I'm like, I just saw my reflection. How can anyone say God's fair when you have this and other people have that? Right? So I'm a terror, but that's how I compensate. I'm coming in to see you guys, see how you're doing, and then we're going to talk about a little more about how to navigate this Scorpio week because Venus left Scorpio, and I think she's going to be a key to making it work for us. So let me check on you here real quick. Okay. All commenting it. Okay, let's go. I'm scrolling down. Ali Shea is in the house. Eric is in the house from Cornwall, sunny Cornwall. She makes it a point to say, bring on Samhain. She's ready for the season change. Yeah, she's in a great spiritual place. Annie's in the house. So let's see. Claudia, morning. Good morning, Quelly. Good morning. Okay, Judith, Alberta, Canada. You are cutting in and out, but the weather is rather mad today. Jay says it's okay. So I hope the sound is good for most of you. I got notices that it was okay. Oh, thank you, Jennifer. That's great. Thank you. Okay. Tara doesn't like that it's going to snow. That's amazing. Ali Shea, I have a question, which I'm going to make as clear as I can. My first house, let's see if we can follow this, you guys. My first house in Gemini together with my moon. So she has a Gemini rising. Her moon is there. My question is, as time moves with the planets, should I interpret those planets that land in the first as they would relate to my first house? Okay, so yes, transiting, she's saying when a planet transits into her first, does she interpret those planets that land there like as they relate to the first house? Yes, absolutely. And great question, Alicia. Thank you for asking. The first house is how you jut out into the world. Okay, it's how you go face the world, and the mask and the makeup and the clothes you wear are all part of the rising sign, right? So when a planet comes in there, if it were Saturn crossing your first house, you might suddenly be changing how you look a little bit. You might be pulling back a little bit. You might be getting a little more serious. You might be getting feedback. If Mars is crossing that ascendant in Gemini, you might be getting feedback that, you're being a lot more aggressive or assertive, or you're taking on too much. But yes, it's how you present to the world and how you enter the world and how the world perceives you. And so you might see, you guys, as planets transit, like when Venus crosses your first house, like if you're a Gemini rising and Venus was in Gemini, people like you, and you take advantage of those moments. You really do. You get extra coupon. Ask for a raise. That's really working with astrology. I hope that helps, Alicia. Thank you for asking. Good morning, Mark. Good to be here, truly. Good to have you here, truly. I'm glad Judith figured out the sound issues. That's great. Hi, Renee, Tara. Thank you. Venus, Uranus, and North Node in Scorpio. Yours? Oh, good. Well, then that's going to activate. You get to have your Venus light up. And when Venus is next to Uranus, that's fun. That is real fun. She said, Tara says, you should compare my husband Sean with Jay's. They're born on the same day. They should get together and talk. Absolutely. Here's the thing. We have everybody, the people born on the same day, like me and Woodruff, 6 hours apart, different days. But if you guys think about it, because you were raised in different environments, you're going to, somebody's moon could have gotten oppressed, or somebody's, they might not have been all keen on Jay telling people how he feels, where your husband might have been really encouraged. So then they each activate and lean into different tools that they were allowed to use. So it's fun to see that sculpted out. Looking at the charts identical is like looking at two twins charts. Until you talk to them, they're kind of pointless. And that's the beauty of reminding you guys not to, look at people's charts without them being there and assume you know anything, because you really can't. I mean, you just can't. You got to see how they showed up, or what their environment did to them. It matters. It does. Okay. So Judith is saying that All Souls and Saints Day is a really interesting, powerful days. According to her July 4th arrival, that it's likely the time I began shopping for a new suit. Wouldn't I just happen to pick one starting out in the form suit of a lady born October 11th, 1936, who could not make up her mind. What was I thinking? Thankfully, the aquarium monkey, who was an actual milkman at the time of my birth, was my father. And yes, he's been gone close to 30 years. But wow, I know him better and better each day. He was simply a good, decent guy. In love with a Libra, heaven help those in love with Libra, is all the crab mutters. Okay. Judith has a very good mind. Yes. So people in love with Libras, will give the advice here because it's the last day of Libra, if you haven't remembered their birthdays. Libras love your independence because they like to be the ones to pursue you. They like to be the ones to sort of lead the way. They're cardinal. Remember that. And when you're a crab who's also cardinal, you have to be awake to that knowledge. You have to be the receptive, attractive one that Libra comes for. You can't sort of latch on. The minute you latch on to any air sign, you guys, I'm not kidding, it's kind of heavy. It gets a little hard. And I'm not saying you got to just learn how to love. And we'll have a lot of classes on that and a lot of talks about that, but you got to learn how to love. And it starts with just being comfortable with like understanding that this is another reality that somebody has. Very fun thing. And as we get into Scorpio, we're going to see a lot more of that, right? We're going to see a lot more people calling us, writing us at 12listen.com, chatting with us about some of the relational pain they're feeling. Okay. Ali Shea said, thank you so much. Finally, after all the years, finally clicked in my brain. I love that, Ali Shea. You had a light bulb moment. That's so fun. Yay. Judith said, yes, I need to love my Libra mother like she needs to be loved. Yeah, like they don't, yeah. And it's more be the thing that sort of lets them come to you and find you. You know, with Libra, it's so funny. I said this a million times and all my close friends know, but it is so easy to to put your thumb on the scale. All they'll do is do the other side. So if you need the other side to be the dominant agreement, just press your thumb on the side you don't want and act like you want it. Oh my God, did I just say that out loud? Probably going to get so busted. Okay. We have plenty to go through. Okay. So now, wherever you have Cancer in your chart, the moon's going to be entering that house. Okay. So on the outside of your will, if you know anything about your will, that's where Cancer is going to be. So things could be, I want you to feel this, feel the difference about things being emotional, you being sensitive. So I was having a chat, the early morning chat with Annie. We were talking about this thing about, sensitive people, all of a sudden the mood flips. And I've had this happen where, I've done it long enough where now I know what to do. But if you notice that all of a sudden you were like, I talk about this all the time with you, but you're doing something and all of a sudden the mood is flipping and you're noticing that you're starting to worry about something or the thoughts are getting a little darker and a little more negative. First, check your hunger, make sure it's not hangry. And then the next thing is see if there wasn't a thought. See if you can possibly find the thought, like a little drop in an ocean that led you down that rabbit hole, that sort of place that doesn't feel so good. And that's the next 2.5 days for all of us. Now, water signs are a little better at this because they swim in these waters. So if you're an air sign or even an earth sign, even a fire sign, all of you, if you can definitely get, like, I notice when my mood, mostly I notice when my attitude has changed. I don't know about the mood, but I'll notice that my attitude has changed. I'm a little more in my head or a little more sober, a little more serious. I can track it if I can find it. And what I notice is air and fire signs, especially Earth, I haven't really spent a lot of time there to give you an example. I haven't been around a lot of it this week. But the air and fire signs tend to just defend where they are. They're like, they don't apologize for it. Yeah, I might be in a bad mood. So, that sort of that energy. Great thing to learn from, right? So keep this thing about like tracking the planets and where they are. Keep that close because this week it's all changing into water. If you're not familiar with water energy, oh my God, there's so much I want you to look for. And if you are familiar with it, I want to remind you to look for it. Okay, 1, omens. Water is reflective. Things reflect to it. So when something happens out here, the easiest and simplest way to maybe interpret it for yourself is pretend you had that dream. And pretend you have to be every object in that dream and talk as if you were that object in the dream from that perspective. That's one way to play with it. So you go to the grocery store, the clerk is mean to you. You come home, you're kind of in a grumpy mood. Be the clerk. You had a dream that happened. Now be the clerk. What was going on? Be the thing that you were buying. Be like anything. Play this sort of gestalty game of seeing if you can identify what was the trigger that sort of locked you in to a certain place. Because I'll tell you, it gets overwhelming. And what I also notice air and fire signs do is they think it's the first thing that comes to their mind and they think they're right. So like a lot of air signs will say, I just need to be alone. That's all this is. It's too much chaos. I need to be alone. That might be true. I don't think that's the actual cause. I think that's one of the effects of what happened, and they need to do that to go figure it out if they do figure it out. But then it just stopped. I've had so many Gemini friends that just sort of don't get it, how much they change. And all of a sudden come up with this thing like it's not, like never happened. Like the next time you talk to them, never happened. And so I'm just asking you to notice as we get into this watery world that we're entering this week, starting tomorrow, notice a little bit about where you flow, okay? Because there is something to the idea that energy goes where your focus flows, or energy flows where your focus goes. I do love that, because if you're obsessing about this election, if you're obsessing about the end of the world, well, everything, and I'm a firm believer in confirmation bias. I'm a firm believer that if you've already made up your mind, you're going to find it. Okay? So consider unmaking up your mind. Even though that's a very safe place to be, consider unmaking it. Okay? Like the conclusion. You don't know what's going to happen. So consider having that counter narrative, because confirmation bias is gigantomondo. Okay? If you believe, like, and I remember this from the course studies when I was studying the course really beautifully, like deeply. It was like when I needed it really bad. The Course in Miracles, that is. One of the things that Ken Wapnick would say was, if you believe that exercise saves your life, you have to believe not exercising will kill you. Like in a dualistic world, that's where it is, black and white. And I'm not saying to stop believing that, but I am saying to stay open to there might be some other truth here. Okay? If this kills me, then the absence of it must keep me alive. And we do tend to do that storytelling to ourselves. And then confirmation bias becomes even more powerful. That's why I want you to understand that phrase big time, because that is so real to me. When you decide on the car you want to buy and that's all you see, that's how deep confirmation bias goes. That's how deep it goes. We deny so much everything else, and all of a sudden they're like, all I'm seeing is that damn Toyota RAV that I really want. It's just everywhere. Oh my God. Well, it was always everywhere. And that's the thing about the gift that Scorpio is going to give you, because one of the things that a Scorpio can do that no other sign can do, and we all have one of those. We all have something that no other sign can do. Every sign has one. Scorpio can see the truth and evaluate the truth for themselves and willingly give it up. Now, they can also unwillingly not give it up, but they have the ability to willfully say, I want this to be different. I want this to change. And be willing to go through the change. Be willing to go through the fires of transformation. Because I'll tell you what, when you're scared, and nothing can take you deeper than Scorpio into the bowels of Hades, okay? Nothing can take you deeper down there. And if you don't have an exit plan, if you don't have a handheld, if you don't have a connection to something that can counter this trip that you can so willingly, accidentally, literally trip into, Scorpio can leave you there to face some of the things that you don't want to face. And I'm just saying, I'm not trying to scare you either. I'm trying to say none of it hangs without you saying, like, you can snap your fingers in a heartbeat and say, I want to change this narrative a little bit. That's all it takes. So if you have a narrative going that the world is ending, this is the end of the world, this is the end of democracy, this is the end, you have to be careful that Scorpio is not going to see the confirmation bias in that and lock you there. It's not, I'm not saying, I'm saying you can avoid the pitfalls of that yourself. You can make that decision. And Scorpio, the most beautiful part of Scorpio is the loyalty and the kindness and the lovingness at which a Scorpio can find your heart. And by your heart in the metaphor is to look at the darkest things that we're most afraid of in life. My dear friend who you all know is battling cancer, had really great news, a Scorpio, and had an ability to face the things with a belief and a knowing that she wasn't going to let confirmation bias get her. She wasn't going to Google. She wasn't going to do the internet. She wasn't going to listen to anything that might take her down a path that she would confirm and then believe. That's the other side of Scorpio. And that's the other side for us that we can use this energy for. And nothing can scare us more than to think we're alone, nobody sees us, and this is the end. So find your companion, first of all, on the inside. Let it, I don't care, but I'm an advocate of finding a spiritual companion. And I'm not talking about a deity, entity, anything. I'm talking about something that lightens you up. The word spirit from the word inspire, something that inspires you, a voice that you believe in, not one that's lying to you with, I am beautiful, I am loving, the world needs me. Nothing horribly wrong with that. I just don't know it's very helpful in the Scorpio season because we want the truth. And some things that might sound like the truth are, I'm scared. I'm alone. I feel like I can't shake this thing that's hovering. Like these are examples of some thoughts you might have. And then in that, you can actually hear yourself saying that and see if you heard that from somebody else, how you would respond compassionately. And that compassion that starts to well up in you, because there will be compassion that wells up in you, especially when you start feeling sad that you're scared, or you start feeling scared that you're scared, or you start feeling like you are invisible. And you think about like if you saw that character in a movie, or if you knew a friend that was feeling that, how you would have compassion for them. Well, if you can find that compassion inside for that little speck, that's to me the spiritual connection, because that will guide you home. And you can say, and I do this all the time, I talk to the part of me that sort of is the optimist eternal. Please bring me home. Let me have your mind. Let me have this part of you that's believing that. I really do that. And I think my morning walks are a testament to that, because I do make myself walk until that awful feeling that I can wake up with sometimes is lighter. And sometimes it just means looking at the things I love and loving them. And when the other thought comes in and goes, well, someday you're going to have to bury them. It's like, F you for now. Serious. No, right now this is about love, and this is where I want to hang. And then I just ask for help to stay in that. And the reason I'm talking about this now is because we're entering Scorpio. Tomorrow, the sun goes into Scorpio, 3:15 p.m. Pacific. And you're going to notice, and you're going to be okay. And you might be tempted to go down certain rabbit holes. You might be tempted to get more scared. And all I'm saying is do it. Like you can, what's it called? Excavate down a cave. I know there's a word for it. You can get into the cave, but you can do it safely, or you can climb that mountain and you can do it safely. And whatever it takes that you set up to do before that is how you love yourself. Okay. It's how you can love yourself, whatever steps you take just to feel a little better. And if people want to visit you during the holiday season and you're not into it, it's okay to say, this is a tough time for me. I'm going to spend a little time with me, because you might know the part of your mind that's going to be in constant comparison mode. Because my new favorite word, which was my word I hate the most, my new favorite phrase, like everyone virtue signals, right? Everyone gets to say how lovely their life is and how good they have it and how wonderful. And that's fine. I love it. I'm so grateful for the awareness of things like that. I love these catchphrases. They just crack me up, but I love them because now I'm telling you everything is a virtue signal, everything. And I love making fun of it in that way. And so if you're not into people coming over because that's all you might see, because people do it unconsciously all the time, we kind of want our friends to think we're doing well, right? We got to want our friends to think, God, we're doing so good. I am so lucky. I have this and this and this. And that's all great because you might really need to feel lucky. So you talk about it, or you might need to feel grateful. And so you talk about it. It's all understandable, all of it. But if you kind of don't want to be around it because it's a little intense for you right now, because you're not feeling so lucky and you're not feeling so happy and you're not feeling so taken care of, it might be the time to be able to say, I need a little minute, okay? I need some time with me, and so I'm not going to be social. It's okay. And a great talk I had again this morning. And I'm so lucky that Annie is willing to walk. She's only here for a short time, but she's willing to get up at 5 a.m. and sort of hit the trail with me and the doggies. And it's freezing, it's cold, and we have the flashlight, and it's so much fun because you're not thinking about the things that would normally scare you because you got some energy there with you. Talking about releasing the things in life and how long it took to get an insight about what you've been holding on to, things you've been holding on to with family that, for me, particularly, just realizing that I felt like and lived like an only child, but not only the child that was the only child who was spoiled and taken care of, but the lonely child, and how long it took me to quit thinking my job was to show that I loved everybody in the family when I didn't, and it was just hard. And it was a big lesson and really beautiful to learn. Those are the kind of insights we can have under this Scorpio time. And I want to wish you during the Scorpio time that these gifts unfold for you because Scorpio's got them. They go below, right? They're going to go underneath the surface of everything. And your conscious mind now has access to the cellar, right? And it might go looking. Just be prepared. Take a flashlight. I tuck my iPhone in my shirt pocket with the flashlight on it, and it's like who knew it aims right at the ground, and so I just have that. I don't have to hold it. So, and who knew it's like ice fishing. It's like night walking. So many things to learn. Okay, I'm checking on you guys, see how you're doing. Give me a sec here. I have to hit refresh, and then I'm coming back in. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, here we go. A lot of people commenting. Good for you guys. Good for you. Thank you so much for being here. I know it can be tough. Okay, here we go. I'm changing it to all comments like you have to do. And then we're scrolling down to find Laurie's in the house. Laurie Love has her show here. Right after Kat Nicholson, who's after me. And Pamela's in the house. Hi, Pamela. Kimberly's in the house. She's been unable to join live with everyone for a couple years. It feels like home. Oh, Kimberly, that's being so sweet. Hey, let's see. Tara says, it occurred to me that my dad, Pisces, my sister's dad, Scorpio, and my brother's dad, Cancer, are all water signs, and my mom's a Virgo. You all had different dads, Tara? That's amazing. Ooh, and she did with all the water signs. Virgo. Virgo has some history. We're going to be talking about it, but I love it. Good job. The good insight, Tara. That's so powerful. Okay, B, I'm taking steps towards something I want despite my fears, praying every step of the way. My ingrained belief in the power of prayer is what's keeping me going. That is so lovely. Listen, please use our gratitude board at 12listen.com. You just go, no one asks anything of you. You go to 12listen, you scroll underneath the advisors. There's a little section for posting on the gratitude board. You guys go put it up there. No one will know it's you. Just be grateful for whatever it is as if it's already happened. Okay? Oh my gosh, good for you. Okay, didn't someone offer cake to Alice? Someone tempted her, right? Now Jefferson Airplane is singing in my head. Go ask Alice when she's 10 feet tall. That is so funny. I love that. See, playing with the earworms is a really, really cool thing. Because your mind's brought it for a reason. Now, I found out, I think I told you guys this, when I bake bread, the tone that happens when the alarm goes off is this French song, and I didn't know. But every time it was Zooby Dooby Doo. Look it up. It's very cute. It's I saw it on Mad Men once, and the timer goes do 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 do. Then I didn't know, why am I all of a sudden into all this French music? I had no clue. It was just every time I baked bread that I became French. So, and it came in my head that that was the tone. So sometimes it's very literal. Like we hear something that sounds familiar. And then the other day I was singing the song that my washing machine plays when the clothes are done. And I was like, oh God, I really need to do things a little more diversely. Okay. You guys, thank you so much for joining me. I hope today inspires you. I hope the rest of the day does for sure. I'm going to be here next week as we're getting closer to the election. I'm asking you, please develop a sense of like, it's a movie. It's a movie. Relax, do your part, play your role, but step out long enough to give that kid in you a hug, to give the hope in you a hug, to ignite it. That's what we got to do, right? We can spread fear. That's easy. Easy. We can all do that. And you'll see it everywhere. That's why they do it. It's so easy. So be the difference that sings a little bit, but don't be judgy about it. Let people, if they're negative, if they're just scared. Okay. So the way we counter fear like that is to not be scared, to find the part of us that isn't, and then just live your life that way. You don't have to proselytize. You don't have to teach anybody else. You don't have to lecture anybody else. Just do you, right? And then let people sort of see it any way they want. Virtue signaling. But be happy. Find a way to be able to have a belly laugh a little bit through the week, okay? And especially when people are scared. And if somebody comes to you and they're just terrified, they know this is the worst thing that's ever happened, no matter who gets it, you can go with them for a minute. You don't have to tell them they're silly for thinking that way. But you can say, I get it. I do get it. It seems scary. And let's try to lift this up somewhere different, because maybe there's another truth, right? Scorpio tomorrow, you guys. I'll be thinking of you. I so appreciate that you make my life so happy on Mondays to look forward to being here with you, to listen, to share this world. If you have questions in the future, I'll be more able to come. It was a little weird getting a Facebook to refresh, which reminds me, I'm going to call my internet people today. But listen, I'm here. Please visit 12listen.com. Those guys have been extraordinary. When the planets go into water, the psychic energy really goes crazy. So if you need support, reach out. They know how to give it to you. And I'm always here, okay? Please stay tuned for the remarkable, amazing Kathleen Nicholson. You have a beautiful week and happy Scorpio.